Joining us now, Joe diGenova. Of course, Joe is a partner at diGenova and Tensing, former U.S. attorney in D.C. Joe, ever since Friday night, I've been dying to talk to you. The McCabe firing happened as our show was going on the air, so we ended up doing an entire show with not a commercial break. It was so much fun, but we missed you. We wanted your voice. But how about this Brennan tweet confirming basically everything we thought about the politicized nature of the intelligence community under Obama, and of course under Obama?
Well, I think the tweet is revelatory for a number of reasons. I have never doubted the partisanship of Brennan, but I thought he was a little smarter than this. Because what this does now is show that he had an animus toward Trump while he was the CIA director. And it actually makes it more obvious than ever that there has to be a grand jury to investigate the unmaskings and the leaking of the name. When you hate the way John Brennan hated in that tweet, you are capable of very, very bad things. And I really believe that Brennan and Clapper were the people who are most responsible for all of the violations of law that occurred during the 2016 campaign that involved not only the unmasking, but the illegal disclosures and other things. So in many ways, this tweet by Brennan was a blessing in disguise, because it really showed how horrible these people are. Just absolutely horrible.
Well, I think that, again, the Democrats seem to rush in to cover for lawbreakers or wrongdoers on many levels. Obviously, McCabe misrepresented at the very least under oath, and he did not tell the full truth about his discussions with the media, about other issues, and you cannot be in that position with the power that you have as assistant or deputy director of the FBI to do that. And when the Office of Professional Responsibility, which is staffed by career people, when they decide, can't do it, you're not going to retire and just like every other honorable person retires. It's basically a dishonorable discharge, and it should have consequences. But the Democrats, whether it's covering for sanctuary cities or lawlessness on the streets in Baltimore or in St. Louis after those, incidents with the police, and now this, they're just all over the lawlessness. They're happy to accommodate it and cover it up. Ditto with what Hillary did with destroying her emails.
What I think is fascinating is this idiotic letter that Senator Patrick Leahy, the Democrat from Vermont, has sent to Chuck Grassley, demanding an investigation into the politicization of the Justice Department. You have to have such chutzpah to write a letter like that, but it underscores what you just said. They will say and do anything. Was Patrick Leahy concerned when Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton on the tarmac in Phoenix, Arizona? When she met with the husband of a target of a criminal investigation? It's really just amazing. The lengths to which the Democrats will go with a straight face to do just about anything that they have to do to try and harm this president, no matter how silly they look. But to me, with all of that, Brennan and Leahy and all of that stuff, the one thing that amazes me is, where is the current FBI director, Christopher Wray? He has disappeared off the face of the earth. When Parkland occurred in the shooting and the FBI screwed up so badly in not properly handling the telephone calls and the YouTube things that were revealed, when McCabe gets fired, he was Christopher Wray's deputy director.
Right.
There's nothing in any of the press reports about what the position of Christopher Wray was on this firing. How can that be? How can it be that the current FBI director has no position on this firing? It is absolutely and utterly remarkable. This is a classic George W. Bush employee, boy. Christopher Wray ought to be ashamed of himself. He is an embarrassment to everybody at the FBI, and I think he should resign. Not just because of what happened in Parkland, but because of this. He doesn't want to be associated with the firing of McCabe. Can you believe this?
No. I mean, and I say this at least once a day, Joe diGenova, that I find it to be terrifying that we have a Justice Department that doesn't care about the basic legal ethics that we all learned in law school. We all had to take our professional responsibility exam along with the bar exam, and they do not take any of these ethical concerns seriously, of apparent or real conflicts of interest, of personal animus, that you cannot get into a case, whether you're a prosecutor or defense counsel or just general lawyer, if you have a vested interest in the outcome. And these people have a vested interest in the outcome because they're political hacks and at their very core, and they want Trump out of office. They see him as an existential threat to their utopian vision of what government should be. And it's the cocktail party circuit. You know, they don't want to be embarrassed at the cocktail party circuit anymore about, we have this vulgarian Donald Trump in the White House. What are you doing to get rid of him? You know, this is all a team effort to undo the election. I've said this from the beginning, and it's everything that's happened has borne this out.
I believe that Rod Rosenstein,
he's an outrage,
knew exactly what he was doing when he appointed Mueller without any limitations on his jurisdiction and without any evidence that a predicate crime had been committed. There was no crime. There was no reason to appoint a special counsel. Rosenstein knew that. I believe he acted purposely and willfully in order to set this in motion. I cannot imagine how anyone who could have written the memorandum that he wrote recommending the firing of James Comey then turns around and appoints a special counsel because of the stuff that James Comey leaked to the New York Times. There's just no explanation for it. That you cannot do what Rosenstein has done, which includes, by the way, every expansion of the Mueller probe that has occurred under Rosenstein's watch has been approved by him. Mueller can't do anything that he's doing without Rosenstein's approval. And I simply believe exactly what you just said, Laura. I believe this was a purposeful attempt to undercut the President of the United States. And I'm appalled by everything that's going on at the Justice Department. And there will come a time when Rosenstein and all of these people are going to have to answer for this. I'm sorry it isn't now, and I'm sorry that the president can't remove these people from office. He should, but he won't, and he can't right now because of the implications for him personally.
I was thinking about something over the weekend, Joe, and I'd love your opinion on it because you're so smart. One of the most important facts in this investigation goes back to whether Donald Trump knew about the hacked emails from the DNC and Hillary and so forth. Excuse me, not Hillary, Podesta, John Podesta, of course, and the DNC, and whether the president wasn't either with a wink and a nod or through some other channels knew that these were provided to Julian Assange at WikiLeaks through the Russians. Okay, that he knew this. Now, Julian Assange, and again, he's never had a single document that he's released, and I'm not saying that we're putting him up on some pedestal, we're not, but this is just a factual matter. He has said repeatedly that he did not receive the emails from a Russian, it wasn't the Russian government, there weren't the Russians. He said this repeatedly. Couldn't Comey bring him into the United States or you don't even have to bring him into the United States, put him under oath and actually have a back and forth interview with him, or allow Congress to do it, where he could be here for 5 days or whatever and go back to the embassy, and where he's not going to reveal his source, but I bet he would reveal under oath who the sources weren't. I bet he'd say that. But why wouldn't they do that? Because maybe that narrative wouldn't be good for Comey or for the current deep state?
They have the legal authority to take a sworn deposition at the Uruguayan embassy in London right now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to bring him to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They can take a sworn deposition with the consent of the Uruguayan government at the embassy. There's no reason and nobody's made an effort to do that to my knowledge, and I agree with you 100%. One of the things that they should do is find that out, and I would imagine that Mr. Assange would be delighted to do that.
I don't think you'd have any problem in doing it, but I
don't either.
Yeah, this just popped into my mind, and I thought, it's like we want to avoid the inconvenient facts here and only cherry pick the facts that work for us. I also want to ask you, Joe, about now we're hearing that they may be getting closer to a deal on the president speaking to Mueller. Whether the questions are in writing, limited in scope, in person, not in person. I find this to be a perjury trap for him. He's not a lawyer, and lawyers aren't very good under deposition either, but I'm concerned about that. What is your thought?
I certainly think that under no circumstances should the president agree to be interviewed by Mr. Mueller. First of all, there's no evidence that a crime was committed. That's number one. There was no collusion with the Russians, even though colluding with the Russians is not a crime. Let's assume that something involving the Russians is a crime. There's no evidence that it occurred. The president is not personally involved in any of the activity that's being investigated. We have no evidence of that. And then now we have this subpoena, apparently, we're told from published reports, for financial records of the Trump Organization in New York. I believe that all of that is unjustified, and I think it is a perjury trap. I don't believe the president should sit down for a deposition under any circumstances. I no longer believe that the Mueller investigation is well-founded. It had a purpose in the beginning for Rod Rosenstein, apparently, so he didn't have to make hard calls as a Justice Department official. Whatever purpose it may have had in the beginning, that purpose has now been served, and it is time for this matter to end.
Joe diGenova here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Joe, thank you so much. Give our best to Vicki.